This podcast is a proud member of the UUOP Network.
Are you ready to go the distance with Tricia's Disney pick? Or will Melinda deliver a Jurassic-sized knockout punch with her universal choice on this episode of Theme Park Throwdown? Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of Theme Park Throwdown with me, Tricia, at Tricia Travels on Facebook and Tricia Travels 85 on Instagram, and Melinda.
Hi, I'm Melinda at Melinda's Magical Adventures on Facebook and Instagram.
We are so excited to bring you another battle this week. And it's not going to be a battle of the Midwesterners against the winter storm that just came through. It's actually the battle of park transportation. So Melinda's going to kick it off for us.
I am, and I am definitely, we have lost the battle against the Midwest weather. We are still getting snow here. It was 12 degrees today here in Michigan, so absolutely loving that and counting down the seconds until I am in Orlando on Friday morning because I can't get out of here fast enough. Anyways, let's talk transportation. As a whole, Universal Orlando Resort has 3 transportation options to get you around the property, around the parks, to and from one place to another. They have the walking pass at certain hotels, the water taxi, and the shuttle buses. So first we're going to talk about the buses because the buses are the route that you can take from any point on the property to any other point on the property. The buses will get you anywhere. So this is definitely the biggest, I guess, the most widely used form of transportation. The buses themselves are very large. They are air conditioned. They're stroller, ECV, wheelchair, disability friendly, and they are all themed, or some of them at least, are themed to different Universal IPs. They are wrapped in different themes. There are Minions buses, there are Universal Monsters buses. So it's kind of fun to get a new cool bus every time you jump on one. I have always thought that, and I'm sure this is a licensing not hiccup, but like it's because of licensing that they don't do this. But I have always wished that they would have the night buses from Harry Potter that could take you to different points. I think that would be really, really cool. And
even if it was like a wrap on the regular buses that made it look like the double-decker purple
exactly.
bus. Oh,
yeah. I mean, that's all you would need to do. Have the wrap, play the music, have a little shrunken head hanging from the rearview mirror. But how fun would that be as just kind of an extra little piece of excitement? Anyways, but there are also a select number of electric buses. We're not going to talk about some of the problems that the electric buses have had. There might have been a couple fires that happened. Not while anybody was on them. Nobody was injured. Everybody's fine. But, you know, that's a thing. There are, let's just breeze past that one. There are bus stops at every Universal on-site hotel. There is a bus stop in Epic Universe, and there's a bus stop in City Walk. I will say, if you are taking the bus to City Walk, it can take a bit longer to get into the parks because of where you get off the bus, where the bus drops you off, because it does drop you off on the lower level at the very far end, like past all the moving walkways, past security. So you've got to go, once you get off the bus to get into the parks, you have to go up the stairs, escalator, elevator, whichever way you choose to take, through the security hub, then all the way down those moving walkways to then spit you out at the entrance to City Walk. Then you have to go through City Walk to get to the parks, and then vice versa on the way back if you are going from the parks or City Walk to hotels via the buses. So it can be a little bit of a longer route. So if you plan to go that way, just prepare for that.
Okay, okay, wait. Wait,
Buses,
wait, 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 wait.
go ahead.
Hold up. You gotta sell this though, okay? Because
I'm not
the
selling a
secure
bus.
the secure okay, if you have to take the bus though, the security checkpoint moves pretty quickly, even in the morning.
It does. You are absolutely right about that. When you go up the stairs, escalator, elevator, whatever way you're taking, and you kind of get into this rotunda where the security
Mhm.
checks are, it looks like there's a mob. It looks like this huge, massive group of people, and you immediately think like, "I'm never getting through this. It's gonna take me an hour to get through this and get into the park." No matter how busy it looks, it will always move faster than you think it will.
Mhm.
They have
Yeah.
a lot of different lines that they really just pump people through there. So it is better than it looks, I promise. You are absolutely right about that. The buses start running an hour before early park admission starts, so you can pick up a bus from your resort an hour early. And then they run until they end their routes about 1 to 2 hours after the park close or after your destination closes. So like Epic Universe usually closes at 10 o'clock. So the buses are usually going to run until 11:30-ish from Epic Universe. With City Walk, the buses run from City Walk as late as 2 p.m. So you can definitely
A
take your
AM.
time.
2
I'm
AM.
sorry, AM, 2 a.m. You're absolutely right. 2 a.m. Don't listen to me. I'm already in Orlando. My
You
mind is
just keep
already there.
you just keep drinking until the next afternoon.
Hey, if you want to take the bus at 2 p.m., take the bus at 2 p.m. It is what it is. You can sleep when you're dead. I don't know. Anyways, as a rule, Universal says that the buses run every 15 to 20 minutes to each destination. I have personally never waited that long. And now, okay, I'm going to be honest, I don't take the buses very often at all. However, I've never waited that long for a bus, even at like park close. Like I've been at Epic Universe at park close where a bus is your only option to get back to your resort. I was trying to get from Epic back to where was I staying? The Hard Rock Hotel. And even at park close, when there are just mobs of people who are standing there waiting for a bus, especially at Epic, when that is the only mode of transportation, unless you're going to like pay for an Uber yourself or if you're walking
Mhm.
to Stella Nova, um, we didn't wait at all. There were thousands and thousands of people standing there waiting for these buses, but there were so many buses lined up ready to take people that we didn't wait at all. So they really do have a great system down where you're never going to wait very long for these buses. What else? Each bus stop is going to have signs posted to show which bus is going to which destination. So it'll be like where you would stand in line to get on the bus. They'll have a sign like this bus is going to Royal Pacific, this bus is going to Cabana Bay, et cetera, et cetera. And then the front of the bus, there is also a digital sign that displays the
Mm.
destination of the bus. So it's very easy to figure out which bus you need to take, even though there might be a lot of them in one small area, especially like down in the transportation hub on the lower level of City Walk, like we were talking about. While buses are definitely my least favorite option, sometimes they're the only choice. They're the necessary, I don't want to say necessary evil. That sounds terrible. They're fine. They're absolutely fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the buses. I don't know. I like my water taxi. So, um, they do run on a good system and on a pretty good schedule. So don't be afraid to take a ride. So now we can move on to my favorite mode of transportation, which are the water taxis. There are water taxi docks in City Walk, at Portofino Bay Hotel, Hard Rock Hotel, Royal Pacific Resort, and Sapphire Falls Resort. Anyone can ride the water taxis, even if you are not staying at one of these resorts. They are a free mode of transportation. They just can't take you from every point A to point B. You have to be in one of these accessible locations. So if you would like to explore all of the different resorts, if you are not a resort guest, or if you just need some chill time to kind of look around a bit and have a nice peaceful boat ride, you can hop on a water taxi and enjoy yourself. If you are staying at Aventura or Cabana Bay, you're I don't even know really if they like frown upon this. I've never really heard, but you can walk to Sapphire Falls because Aventura is right next door to Sapphire Falls. Cabana Bay is directly across the street from Sapphire Falls, although you might get hit by a car running across that road trying to get from Cabana Bay to Sapphire Falls. So don't tell anybody I told you to do this, and watch where you're going. Look both ways before you cross the street. But you can go from one of those resorts to hop on the water taxi at Sapphire Falls. The boats each sit up to about 50 people. And again, they are stroller, wheelchair, and ECV friendly. There is a portion of the boat up towards the front that is along the railing where you can park a ECV stroller, wheelchair, anything like that that you may need. These taxis run about every 10 to 15 minutes. And I do, in my experience, think that that is pretty true, that there are some times where, especially if you're trying to catch like a water taxi from City Walk, that you may have to wait a bit for the next boat to arrive so that you can load. But I 100% think that the water taxis are worth the wait. The boats take a very peaceful and beautiful ride through the lake and give you some really great views of the parks and the different
Mhm.
resorts. There's just there's just something about taking the water taxi from that side is either Royal Pacific or Sapphire Falls, and pulling up past the Islands of Adventure lighthouse and starting to hear the music and going under the
I
bridge, and then all of a sudden you come
Yeah.
out from under this bridge and you see City Walk, and it's just so fun and so exciting. That is one of my favorite times to like take pictures of my kids because you can see their faces change as we go through this ride, and
Aw.
they start to like get the feel of, okay, now we're on vacation, we're here, we're seeing all the fun things we're going to get to do. So I absolutely love taking these rides, and you'll always get the other boats from the other resorts that'll pass you and you wave and yell to each other. um there is it's just fun. Another huge perk of taking the water taxis, and I know I've talked about this before, I talked about this last week when we were talking about staying at the different resorts, but you have dedicated security checkpoints if you are taking the water taxi. So before you get on the boat, you are going to have to go through the metal detectors and um, get your bags checked. But they do that on the dock before you get on the boat so that when they drop you off in City Walk, you're all set, ready to go. You don't have to go through any additional security before you get into the parks. So you're going to
Mhm.
have a much
Yeah.
shorter wait or no wait at a resort dock than you are in the security hub in City Walk.
Yeah.
So it's always a perk.
And
The
if I remember correctly, we stayed at Portofino. I
Mhm.
thought the security was like you went through the security and then what kind of walked down closer to where you load,
Yeah.
right? Like I don't remember having to like wait and then go through security. Like they try to
Oh,
expedite
no,
it that much more.
you
Yeah.
walk right into security, and then it's after you go through the security that you wait to get on the boat.
Yeah. So it's such a smart system if you can do that.
Yeah, I have never waited in a security backup at any of the water taxi, uh, docks. I
Yeah.
have waited, like, after security to just like, waiting on a boat to pull up to pick us up, but
Yeah.
they're so quick with those security checks at the dock that,
Mhm.
no, you're not gonna have to wait for that portion of it.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. The taxis start running 30 minutes before early park admission, and they run until 2:30 a.m., 365 days a year. I almost said a week. That's a lot. Um, the only kind of maybe negative thing is that they do not operate during inclement weather. So if
Mhm.
there's lightning in the area, if it's very, very heavy rain, the water taxis are obviously not safe to operate because it's a boat in the middle of the water. So that might kind of knock that option out if you are there
Mhm.
during one of the summer storms. And if you are extra lucky, you might get the chance to have Rob as your boat captain, and you'll get some great entertainment and some really silly duck jokes on your ride, duck butt jokes on your ride over to the parks. He's kind of like famous in the world of Universal Orlando Resort team members. He's just wonderful. I absolutely love him. I'm really
Yes.
hoping I see him on this trip because he's fantastic. Then the last mode of transportation, if you want to call it that, that I'm going to talk about are the walking paths from the resorts into City Walk. There are paths into City Walk from Portofino Bay, Hard Rock, Royal Pacific, Sapphire Falls, Aventura, and Cabana Bay. So it's a lot.
Mhm.
Depending on which resort you're staying at, your walk can be as short as 5 minutes from Hard Rock Hotel and to as long as like 15 to 20 minutes if you're staying at Cabana Bay. I still view that, even with like a 20-minute walk to get into the parks, as a totally viable option if you don't want to have to wait for a bus or risk your
Mhm.
life running across the street to get on Sapphire Falls water taxi. And I've done that with a stroller too. I don't know if that's advisable either, but you know, you got to do what you got to do. One positive thing about the walking path is that Universal really puts a ton of time and energy and money into their landscaping along these paths. There are some really gorgeous flowers and greenery to look at along these walks. It's a very like tranquil experience either before you
Mhm.
get into the parks or when you sometimes it's really nice at the end of the night walking along the paths to just kind of um
Mhm.
I don't know, chill your brain out a little bit and get ready to, like,
Yeah.
go back to the hotel and go to sleep after a long park day. So it's really beautiful, and you've got the boats going past you, the water taxis going past you, so it's really pretty. It's a very nice experience, and if you are going from the Hard Rock Hotel, you can also walk through their butterfly garden, which is a really beautiful, area.
Yeah.
Just make sure you don't step on any lizards because 'cause they're gonna be all over the place on the paths, especially if it has just recently rained.
I
Another
think, like,
part.
it's
Yeah,
I was gonna say, I think it's important to note that, like, at least from the Portofino side, I have actually never come from the other direction, but it's really shaded, so even in, like, the heat of
yeah,
summer, it's a cooler walk, and I
absolutely.
always felt safe any time of the day,
Oh,
walking
yeah.
alone, walking in a group on those pathways.
Yeah, I totally agree, and again, because there are security checkpoints on those pathways, which was the point that I was just gonna say, is that the
Oh,
security
I stole your
checkpoints.
thunder.
No, it's
Sorry.
fine, it's perfect. It's a great segue. Um, those checkpoints are on the walking path so that, again, you can kind of skip that big, security hulu? Hullabaloo is the word that I was gonna say in City Walk and go through the shorter security line on the walking pass, but that is, uh, some great reassurance that you are safe and you are within the park property, and I mean, I'm never gonna say never, but most likely you're never gonna have to worry about something happening.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, so it's
they're very like you said, they're shaded and they're beautiful, but they're very well lit, and the signs are very clearly marked. You're not gonna get lost. Don't worry about that. You will it's very clearly marked where you're going and everything like that, so
if
it's great.
if you get lost, you've walked into the river essentially.
Basically, yeah, yeah, you're walking along the riverside. I can't talk.
It's
Oh,
okay.
good
It's
lord.
the
Anyways,
cold weather has frozen our brains,
just get me
so
out of here, please. But I have always loved walking to and from the parks. I always see that as a super viable option. Like I said,
Mhm.
I would much prefer walking to and from the parks over taking the buses, even if it means I'm gonna have to walk an extra half a mile or whatever it is. So,
Yeah.
even though you're doing a ton of walking at the parks anyways, sometimes the walking paths are the quickest way to get you into the parks because 'cause you're not having to wait for anything. You're not having to wait for a
Yeah.
bus, you're not having to wait for security, you're not having to wait for a water taxi. You just go when you wanna go. So,
Yeah. That is nice.
yeah, but that wraps up universal transportation.
Meanwhile, Disney is like being in the middle of one of the older films, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, because there are
Great.
so many options and so many of the options that have multiple options.
Mhm.
So I'm going to break it down by transportation type that Disney offers. I want to note that you can drive or get rideshare to the parks, water parks, and Disney Springs. They do have designated areas for parking or drop off.
Yeah,
But I'm
same
just going
thing
to
with
focus
Disney
on.
or
Oh,
with Disney, Jesus. See? What's wrong with me? Same thing with Universal.
yeah. So that's nice too if you like want that option for either park. So first, we're going to start with buses, like Melinda did. They're everywhere unless there is another form of transportation essentially to that same park. So, for example, if you are staying on a Skyliner resort, and that would be like Pop Century, Art of Animation, Caribbean Beach, and Riviera. They're not going to take buses to Hollywood Studios and Epcot because those two parks are serviced by the Skyliner that I'll talk about in a little bit. So they're trying to alleviate some stress on the bus system for other park or other resorts that don't have alternative transportation to parks. Um,
That makes a lot of
so,
sense. I get that.
now, if the Skyliner is down either for bad weather or there is like an annual like refurbishment they do, they
Refurbishment.
will
Mhm.
yeah they will run buses from those resorts to the parks that you normally wouldn't have a bus for.
Okay.
Um, so something to keep in mind too, not every place has a designated like location. The resorts typically do, depending on the type of resort. But like if you want to go to a water park, it's usually paired with like Animal Kingdom. So they
Right.
sometimes will pair things that are near one another that on their own there just isn't justification because they don't have enough foot traffic for the bus to take people. So just kind of be aware of that. Like Universal, the bus transportation locations have designated numbered signs. When you first walk up, there's a giant board that tells you where you should go for your hotel to wait for your bus. The buses themselves have light up signs on the front and the side, so you know, like, hey, this is the right bus that's coming. If you have need for like mobility devices, they will often ask strollers to be collapsed if possible. That's all accessible on the bus. Generally the bus takes like I would say at least a half an hour at like rope drop. It might be even longer if there's like traffic. Typically you're just not too bad with that.
Okay.
Um, so just be mindful that like if you're going to the Magic Kingdom at 8:30, you're going to wanna get in line by 8, and that
8.
first bus will be picking people up, and there will already have been a line forming. Like, I will get in line for a bus an hour before the first bus comes,
Wow.
which is usually an hour before the park opens. Like, I wanna
That's
be
gross.
at the front of the park. Okay, I
I get it.
know.
I get it. Because 'Cause
I
I'm
have
like you, I wanna be there. I have a shirt that says rope drop crew. Like, that is me. I wanna be there at the start of it. So, like, you better believe my butt's gonna be in the Skyliner line at 7 AM.
Oh, yeah. So a pro tip, if you are traveling with others, I highly recommend one of you gets in line for the bus, another person goes to the quick service option, which they usually open at
Oh.
7 a.m., which is before usually the buses get there, and grab something and then meets you in line, and then you can eat breakfast while you're waiting in line.
Yep.
And if you're traveling alone, I've done this a couple of times. The night before, I will go to the quick service, pick up things, and then put them in my room. And there's like, little mini fridge beverage coolers in there. So you can
Yeah.
keep things cool and then you can take it with you while you're waiting in line for the bus. So kind of double duty, killing two birds with one stone kind of thing.
Yeah.
Uh, I had mentioned the Skyliner. That's our second major form of transportation. It opened September 2019. And like I said, it has two lines. It goes to Epcot and Hollywood Studios only. And there's a large transfer point at Caribbean Beach. So if you're staying at the end of the line, so that would be Art of Animation or kind of across Hourglass Lake is Pop Century, you would take that designated Skyliner for those two resorts to this transportation hub, and you would then get on the line for either Hollywood Studios or for Epcot. It's very well marked, so you would have to transfer lines there, and then um, you would just stay on your line. And people that are staying at Caribbean Beach, depending on where you're at, you can either use that access point, or if you're closer to the other resort that's in that area, the Riviera, can't miss it, giant blue and white building. Um, that also has a Skyliner, point that you can get on. It is a little bit more congested because there are carts that are feeding from that main hub over there, so
Yeah.
sometimes you have to wait a little bit to get on a car there. So, kind of like Melinda said, it might be worth your while to walk if you're that little extra distance to get to that main hub, because it just moves really fast. Like,
Yeah.
when we stay places and you're first there, like, sometimes the lines look astronomical, like, they'll wrap around the lake, and it's like, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
But it is, like,
It's kind of
fast.
like it's like the illusion of the security hub in City Walk that we were talking about. It looks like there is just a crap ton of people and it's gonna take forever, but they know what they're doing and they push people out of there and you'll get
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Um, so if you're headed to Hollywood Studios, you will just take off from that transportation port in Caribbean Beach. If you're going to Epcot, that's where you stay on, but you'll go through the transfer in Riviera, and then you'll head off and get it dropped off. What I consider to be the backside of Epcot, which is where the World Showcase is.
Yeah.
Um, you unfortunately do not get any benefits to the, security point. You'd have to just go through the security at both of those parks. So it is faster. I would say on average, when I stay at Pop Century, I can be at Epcot in 20 minutes, which is pretty quick,
Ooh,
honestly. Yeah, it's
that's
fast.
great. Okay.
It might be a little
I
bit.
have not taken the Skyliner yet, and I am
You're gonna have to
so
clock it.
excited. I know, I'm so excited to do that on this trip. That is
Yeah,
a big part of the reason why I wanted to I'm staying at Pop Century. It's a big part of the reason why I wanted to stay there is because I wanted to utilize the Skyliner. So I'm really excited
yeah.
about that.
So, I mean, I would say, like, give yourself, even in a longer line, like 15 minutes, for waiting in the line once you join it to get on, and then like another 20 minutes, so it's
Okay.
probably in all told, it is faster than having to wait in line for the bus and, whatever, like, it's
Yeah.
constantly running, always carts. If you need assistance with a motorized vehicle, they actually have the carts will come down and then they come off into sorta like this cul-de-sac, so they can keep
Yeah.
the rest of the cars running while they help load people who might take a little more time to load, and then it gets fed back onto the line and you take off.
Yeah. It's
So,
not like Haunted Mansion where
um
you get stuck in one spot for a half an hour because they're trying to offload somebody.
exactly. You're like, did I join the 999 heavy hunts? Like, I didn't
Yeah.
expect this to happen quite so
Is
soon in
this
my
where I
life.
live now?
Yeah, so I thoroughly enjoy it. Just be prepared that during peak hours, so, before park opens and at the end of the night, you're gonna be on there with a lot of other guests, so
Ooh.
be prepared for that, but if you just wanna experience it, go in the middle of the day, and they will put you on your own, like, car, and you get to look around and see the sights and everything. It's really there's a lady that talks and gives you, like, information about what you're flying over and everything.
That's cool.
I
I
will
can't wait.
I will say a pro tip, if you we do this when we leave Epcot because 'cause we're just at this point where it's like we don't wanna be stuck in the masses of people leaving. So
Yeah.
we'll head out a little before the nighttime show starts, get on the Skyliner, and then watch it as we're headed back to our resort.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. I like that
So,
idea.
yeah, it's really neat. I enjoy it. It's like, we don't need to hear the music. We've all seen the show in our family, so it's like, we'll just watch it
Yeah.
from afar.
Heck yeah.
All right,
Is
so
it
going
okay, is
from
it true that there are, like, waste receptacles, I guess, if you wanna call them that,
okay,
just in case, like, you get stuck under the seat?
yes, but they're really unassuming, okay? They
I'm
look
sure they're not, like, out in the middle, but
yeah, it's just like, right here's your diaper for your the
right.
adult size is here. No, it just is like this little case that has, like, a plastic tag on it, and it's, like, slid back under the seat.
Okay.
I know there was, like honestly, I think there's been 1, maybe 2 times where the Skyliner stopped for, like, hours, and that was
Uh,
really early on, okay?
yeah.
Like, they have not had any issues. This is a system that has been used in ski lifts all over the world.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
used in mass public transportation in other countries. Like, this wasn't, like, a new concept. I think it was them just, like, having to get things up and running. Just be
Yeah.
mindful that if, like, inclement weather is moving in, they will shut the Skyliner down, so it's not like, "Oh, it's starting to lightning, you guys are stuck up there for an hour, like, good
Yeah,
luck."
well, yeah, that would be
Yeah.
stupid.
So, if you would like to get back to your resort and you're planning on using the Skyliner, like, maybe plan to get on before the incoming weather hits, by, like, 30 minutes, so just kinda being aware of that. Otherwise, just haul up a building for a while and have a snack. That would be
Yeah.
my recommendation.
The Florida storms, typically, like the summer ones, it'll downpour like the world is gonna end for 20 minutes, and then it's gorgeous the rest of the day, so you'll be fine.
Yeah. And again, I typically will get in line an hour before park open, so not like,
That's my plan.
and then they run the Skyliner like Disney says 45 minutes, but it runs earlier than that. So,
Okay.
for the guests that are there to get you to the park and like they can start queuing people up for security and stuff like that. So, and the other thing I just want to mention about the Skyliner too is it services a smaller number of hotels going to Epcot. So your wait on the backside is a lot less than having to come from all the other resorts that are taking the bus to get there. Fortunately, at
Yeah.
Hollywood Studios, you're just dumped in with the masses. So something to just be aware of.
That
Um,
makes sense. I didn't ever think about that part of it, I guess.
Yeah. So, but moving from the most recent to the original form of transportation, and that was the monorail that services Epcot and the Magic Kingdom. And originally, it started running in 1971 with the Magic Kingdom, and then they expanded the trek to Epcot in 1982. There's essentially 3 lines that you can take. There's a Magic Kingdom loop, resort loop, there's the Express loop, and then the Epcot loop. So the way that this works is that the Kingdom loop connects the Contemporary, the TTC, the Transportation and Ticketing Center, the Polynesian, the Grand Floridian, and then back to the Magic Kingdom. So if you listened to our last episode, which I really hope you did because we're so wonderful, I mentioned I mentioned that loop when we were talking about like the big 3 hotels. Um, if you want to get to Epcot from Magic Kingdom, the fastest way to do that is to take the Express monorail, and when you're at Magic Kingdom, it designates like this is express, this is resort. And
Yeah.
then you would get on the express, which bypasses, it goes through the contemporary, but it just keeps going. And then it'll take you directly to the TTC. You do have to transfer. It's really easy to do that to the Epcot line, and then you'll take that to Epcot. Um, and then the Epcot loop itself is the TTC to Epcot and back. So there's three kind of like options there for you. All three end up at the TTC. And that is where, if you are parking for the Magic Kingdom, you park at the TTC and you have to take the monorail to the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
If you're parking at Epcot, you do not need to park at the TTC and take the monorail to Epcot. Epcot has its own parking lot because it was built after the Magic Kingdom. They were
After.
like, oh, whoops, we probably should have also built a parking lot here. So, um, so be prepared that if you're driving, you will to the Magic Kingdom. It's probably going to take you some time to get there. Be patient. Um, if you are at the Contemporary, walk. It is
Yeah.
a 10-minute walk with its own designated security checkpoint, which is extremely quick, versus having to go all the way around on the monorail loop. Now, if you're a brave soul, you can walk from the Polynesian and the Grand Floridian. It is a bit of a hike, but if
Mhm.
you'd rather do that, if you're like the monorail is like the line is really long, I'm feeling kind of stressed, I just want to get there, you can hike it over there. Um, I don't know if you really save yourself any time unless the monorail is having like issues, which it is
Yeah.
an older system. It can happen from time to time.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
always
something to
recommend to
consider.
clients that if they are taking an Uber into the park, that
Mm,
instead of Ubering to the TTC and then having to get on the monorail to get into Magic Kingdom, I always recommend that they Uber to the Contemporary instead and walk
yeah.
or take the
Yeah.
monorail. Because
Yeah.
it kind of saves you that extra stop.
Yeah. Like the other two, the monorail does start running ahead of time, usually 30, 60 minutes before park open. But be prepared, you will get packed in like sardines. So they're going to cram
Mhm.
as many people in on that one as they can. Now, I will say the one in Disneyland, it doesn't function as well as the one in Disney World, but it is smaller and they do not cram you on there because they don't, for safety reasons, they don't want it to like kind of come off the track in any way. So if you're used to being out in Disneyland, yeah, you're going to get real close to your neighbors in Disney World. So,
Yeah, for
um,
sure.
yeah. So, some people just like to ride the monorail for fun. They'll do like the monorail resort loop. I think I mentioned that in the last episode, but I just want to remind people that you can take the monorail even if you don't have a park ticket. Like you could even take the Epcot monorail. It goes actually into the park, like drives into the park so you can see it. But if you don't have a
Yeah.
park ticket for the day, you can still ride it. So I just like to point that out too. Alrighty. Our next transportation is the boats. And that, again, can't just have one line of boats. We have to have three. So those would be your friend ship boats, the water taxi. I
Oh,
don't know
no.
what that was, but thank you. You brought joy to my life.
That's what I'm here for.
Oh, okay. The water taxi slash ferry boat and the Sasagula river boats. So the friendship boats run between Epcot, Hollywood Studios, and your boardwalk resorts. So that would be the boardwalk, the beach and yacht clubs, which are like literally one giant building, and then the
Yep.
Swan and Dolphin. Um, I would say if you're staying at I on the close side to Epcot of the boardwalk, or you're staying at Beach and Yacht, again, just walk. It will be faster.
Yeah.
But if you want to get to the Hollywood Studios area from there, I highly recommend you take the boats. Unfortunately, there are no security checks for boats in Disney to either of those parks. You actually just have to go through the security again, once again, at those parks. So be prepared to spend a little bit of extra time if you're trying to get in, do rope drop, and be towards the front of the line. That you will have to do security at the park.
I will
Um,
say though, like Disney security goes so fast because like that okay, I'm gonna throw a slight at Universal right here and say like it does suck that the I know, right? It it does suck that you have to go through security in City Walk to get to Islands of Adventure, City Walk, or Universal Studios Florida. And so it's just one big group of people where at least at Disney you are going through and I know part of this is out of necessity because the parks are not
Mhm.
close together like they are at Universal, but it is nice to have those shorter security lines because it's only the people going to that one specific area.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. Um, if you're headed to the Magic Kingdom, you can take the water taxi from Fort Wilderness or Wilderness Lodge area, Grand Floridian, and the Poly will take you to the Magic Kingdom. This is like the kind of your standard size boats, but if you ever see like the giant boat, it's like a double decker. That's actually the
Yeah.
ferry, and that's going to take you to Fort Wilderness and the Contemporary. So make sure when you're at the boat docks, you're looking for like what resort you're trying to get to. Some Is there a benefit to taking the boat versus taking the monorail from Fort Wilderness or Wilderness Lodge? Or not, you can't take the monorail, sorry. I meant to say
I was gonna say,
to yeah, you'll be waiting a while. No, the, um the ferry versus the water taxi, no, just take whatever's there. Like, there's
yeah,
no it's not like, if you wait for the other one because it has, like, one less stop, you're gonna have to wait that time that it would take to get to the stop anyway, so just get on the boat,
that makes
is
sense.
kinda what I say. Um if you're taking the boat from the Contemporary, that means you have no desire to rope drop. You don't care if you're the first person on Space Mountain or that you are racing to Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. You're there for the leisure of it. So if that's what you're looking for, take the boat. Otherwise, like I
Yeah.
said, just walk from the Contemporary.
Yeah.
Um, your final boats are the Sassagoula River boats, and those don't take you to any parks. They actually take you to Disney Springs,
Mm.
and that's going to be connected to the resorts along the Sassagoula River. So you're looking at Old Key West, Saratoga Springs, and the Port Orleans, French Quarter, and Riverside sister resorts will all take you there. Um, just if you are having issues like trying to figure out which boat is yours, there is a colored flag on them. And if I never remember purple, white, whatever. I just asked like the captain, I'm like, where are you going?
Yeah.
And then I get, or and usually there's like a line that like indicates where you're going as well. So you can always like, ask sometimes I'll ask to be like, what line am I in?
Yeah.
Sometimes if it's kind of hard to decipher. Um this is a really great way if you enjoy Disney Springs. I would highly recommend hanging out over in this area. The boat ride is really nice. It's a little bit longer, so it's like great for like a chill day that you're not in the parks or if you like just want to take a couple hours away. One thing to note, no, the Sassagoula River does not technically exist by nature. So when they have droughts, and this did happen, I believe last year, the water levels got too low for the boats to run. So
Oh,
just be aware that that can happen, and then
okay.
depending on where you're at, you can either walk to, um, Disney Springs or they'll offer buses
Mm.
in its place, and they'll always have a sign up. There's always a cast member there if something happens where the boats are closed. So just be aware. Um, all the boats can accommodate mobility devices of any kind, so just you can transfer right on. It makes it really easy for anyone to use that form of transportation. Everything has ramps, so it's really accessible for everybody as well. Um, my final note, again, like I said, planes, trains, automobiles, is the minivans, like
Mm.
Minnie Mouse.
Okay.
I just want to make a really quick note on this because it's a paid option. Everything else I talked about was free, it's included in the cost of staying at Disney. This
Yeah.
is a paid option. However, there are some perks to using this. First, um, you can usually get a sense of like when it'll be available. Sometimes they're available like right away. Other times during like peak travel time, especially like in the morning before park open, if you don't get on it right away, you might have to wait like a half an hour, and at that point, you might as well just take the free transportation.
Yeah.
But, they're super cute. They're red with white polka dots. They're driven by cast members who know the area very, very well. They're really engaging, friendly, very clean. They have, car seats in
Yeah.
them, which if you have younger kids is really can be really accommodating versus trying to, like, do this through Lyft or Uber through like a third party, which
Yeah, that's
you
a
do
pain in the
book.
butt
Yeah, you do book this through Lyft, and it's only really offered if you're like on property
on
will it show
property.
up.
Mhm.
Um, Prices vary. They do surge pricing and everything. It can get pricey. I have used these a couple of times, mostly when trying to get to Disney Springs because the buses to Disney Springs, and now I'll be shooting myself in the foot. I don't understand how this happens. It doesn't take long to get a bus from Disney Springs. I don't know where they go because they never seem to show up at the resorts when you wanna go to Disney Springs. I don't get
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
It's like,
They just
I don't
disappear.
know. I'm like, "Poof." Anyway, so a couple of times I've taken a minivan just because it's more convenient than waiting. I mean, I've waited 45 minutes for Disney Springs bus once at a deluxe resort, and it never showed up, and we were like, "We're done.
Oh,
Like, we're gonna
that's
just
fun.
rent." Yeah, I was a little peeved at that. The other time that it can be really beneficial, if you do Lyft or Uber, it will drop you off at the TTC. If you take
Okay.
a minivan, it will take you right to the front of Magic Kingdom and drop you off where the buses drop you off. So
Oh, I didn't know
if
that.
yeah, so if you like, let's say maybe you have a lot of younger kids or you have someone with, but they do have specialized vans too for mobility devices. So if you just
Okay.
like want to be, not dealing with a lot of the public transportation, if that's easier for your family, this is a great alternative. The final thing I'll say about this, they do pick up and drop off to MCO, the airport that's right there in Orlando,
Yeah.
for a price.
Well,
One
yeah.
way
Uh-oh.
one way is $250 as of today. March 16th of the date we're recording, 17th. What is the date? I don't even know anymore. I've lost track of all days. March
Excuse?
17th of 2026. So if you do round trip, you are paying $500. That's on you if you want to do that.
I mean, more power to you if that's the way you're choosing to go, but what?
Yeah.
No, thank you. Okay.
I I would say I've tried various types of like Lyft and Uber just to see like what pricing is so that I have a better sense when I'm working with clients. The
Yeah.
cheapest the cheapest I've paid is kind of like in the middle of the day, like 20 some dollars. And that was like
Yeah.
a sedan. It was just me and my daughter. We didn't have much luggage. And when I've traveled with like a larger party and we've gotten like the XL or whatever, I think I've spent about 60 is like the highest I've ever really spent. So, I
Yeah.
mean, just to put in perspective how much more the minivan is, you may want to consider doing like a private car service because it could end up being
Yeah.
cheaper.
Like, what?
So,
How do they justify that? What's the perk of getting then a minivan over just a regular Lyft or Uber? Like,
I,
I don't
status?
understand
I don't
that.
know. um,
Oh,
I
like,
don't
have you
know.
seen the TikToks of the guy that will pick up the family from the airport in the Lightning McQueen car?
Oh no, I'm going to have to look into that
Oh,
now.
find one and send it to you. They're so cute. He has a car that is decked out, looks exactly like Lightning McQueen, and he'll pick the family up from the airport. And it's all these little kids who are like, ka-chow! They're so excited to see Lightning McQueen take them to their Disney hotel. It is the most adorable thing. But like, okay, that's something that maybe you could get close to justifying charging that price for.
Yeah.
But what?
Yeah.
Okay. But it's Disney. I shouldn't be shocked, but you know.
That's why I recommend using those free travel service transportation services that they have as much as you
Yeah,
can, because they yes, it's a wait, and I know people hate waiting, and I know, like, for people who don't go very often, it can be very anxiety inducing to have to wait, and this is both parks. Like,
sure.
waiting on that bus or, like, waiting in that line for the Skyliner or for the water taxi, whatever it might be, but, like, just remember everyone else who's going to the park around the time you're going is waiting just like you. So, like, it's
Exactly.
gonna be okay. If you get that early park admission, especially for your on-site guests, like, you're gonna have a great start to your day. And even if you're staying
Yeah,
off-site, you will still have a great day. Like, I think sometimes we get so wrapped up in, like, that moment and, like, this didn't go perfect to plan the way I wanted it to, but, like, don't let the
absolutely.
start of your day be ruined that you had to wait 10 extra minutes for that next bus to show up. Like,
Absolutely. Don't
in the
let that
long
break
run
your day.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
that's that's my soapbox. I've pushed it aside. I'm stepping down now. And
No, you're absolutely right, though. I mean, so many people go into these vacations with like their every second of every day planned out in their minds. And I'm not a proponent of that. I am a planner at heart. If anybody that knows me, like, this is the reason I'm a travel agent, because I actually enjoy that part of it. I actually like planning out this different things that I uh, want to accomplish on a vacation, any kind of trip. But if you are planning your day down to the minutes like that, you are setting yourself up for failure. So things are going to happen. Add in some
Mm.
buffer time. It is okay. Um, don't turn into a Karen in line because things aren't going the way that you want them to. Just everybody be nice, kumbaya, and we're all going to have a good time. So,
True.
anyways, did we score a hit and leave it all in the ring? We want to hear from you guys. Vote in our Who Won Weekly poll on Facebook and Instagram. We are at Theme Park Throwdown everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can also shoot us an email at themeparkthrowdown@gmail.com. And if you need help planning your next vacation, you can reach out to either Tricia or I at portkeyvacations.com and fill out a quote request form. Why can I never say that? I need to go to bed, y'all. Fill out a quote request form to get started, and don't forget to request Trisha or I to be your advisor. You could also individually send us a direct message through social media pages if you'd like to get in touch with us. And you can check out all of our sister podcasts on the UUOP network. We've got the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast, the Taste of Universal podcast, the unofficial Universal Great Britain podcast, the Port Key Passport, a Disney podcast for adults, the Theme Park Duo for your West Coast parks, Rush of Fear, which is our Halloween Horror Nights, repping Halloween Horror Nights right here, Halloween Horror Nights podcast, and Big Dumb Stuff. And that's it for this throwdown. We'll see you guys next week in the ring.